stop talking about board games.
Shut up. What if,
Hypothetical.
this is not real, what if Doolin and I could only play 6 board games for the rest of our lives? Now,
It needs to be replayable.
Remy, will you just stop? Look at Granger. Be more like her. Doolin, what is your first game that if you could only play these games for the rest of your life, what are you picking?
Okay, number 1 is Cthulhu Death May Die.
Whoa! What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Death May Die?
I needed a great cooperative game. Each game only gets 1 expansion. I would choose Season 2 because it has a lot that it adds to the game.
It doubles the amount of actual campaign, like missions. What do you call them? Scenarios?
Scenarios. And it adds a lot of characters. Man, it's grown on me. More and more, I think that it is excellent base game. Now, full transparency, Zombicide Black Plague with all of the stuff, I think is better.
Would overtake Death May Die,
But
right?
I can only have 1 expansion.
I'll spoil it, man. This is not on my list.
Really?
It was very close, especially when I started considering like.
That's why I wanted to start with it, because I knew it would be a shock to you.
Yeah, no, it was very much so. Especially when I started considering games that like Danielle would enjoy, because I'm trying to think, you know, if I can only play these, then she's probably only gonna play these. She really likes Death May Die. Number 7 on our 6 list, and you may be wondering why 6 instead of 5. I don't know. 6 is just more
different,
more than 5. But yeah, I am shocked.
You can play it a lot of times.
No, I'm glad. I love it. I've played Death May Die 12 times total, I think. The last time I played it, which was just last week on Saturday, I played this core box episode 4. I've never played episode 4 until that play. I've only played episode 1 through 3.
How many episodes are there?
6 in the core box, 6 in season 2.
Okay, yeah.
And I've only ever played with Haster and Cthulhu. I've never played with any of the other expansion great older ones. Now, I will say, I don't think season 2 comes with any additional elder ones.
But I do like the extra scenarios.
Right, that would be the biggest thing to get more content.
And
yes, I agree.
It comes actually with a lot of like characters too, like not characters, but like
monsters.
Minions.
Yes, yes, it does. It does. I've not even opened up season 2 other than to use some of the investigators. I mean, there's still a lot of content for me to go in Death May Die, which is why it was very close to consider. It was not very close to consideration. It was very close to joining my list. Yeah. The first one on my list is a game that is extremely light, not physically, and anyone can play it. And it's a game that you can practice and become skilled at over time. And it's Crokinole.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I think Crokinole is a great game, and it's just like a beer and pretzels bar game. And I could see me playing Crokinole for 30 years and eventually, like, you know, just steadily improving at it, becoming better at the game. Like, I think it's one of those that you can just practice, and it's so different. It's not a board game that people that don't like board games will like Crokinole. It's shuffleboard.
I could definitely see this like at a nursing home.
Yeah, 100%. It's got appeal to any and everyone pretty much. And it's just one of those that it's just so versatile. Like, it's a dexterity game, sure. This is the only one on my list that's dexterity. I'll go ahead and spoil that too. It's the easiest game on my list to learn, but I do think that it has the legs that like you can play Crokinole for ages. I mean, people do. People have played Crokinole for ages at this point in time. So that's why I had to include it on my list, even though I haven't played it in a while, to be quite honest with you. I do love it, and I would like to play more.
It's great. It's great. All right, so in my next one,
and might I add, while he's looking at his next one, this was freaking hard.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
This was so difficult.
More so for you, but I actually had to think about it for a long time.
I spent the past 2 days trying to figure this out. I mentioned it to you today, so you started looking at it today. And then literally
it was last night.
Moments before we pressed record, I was still shuffling out and in games. Like, I'm bad at making decisions. If you play Smash Brothers or Monster Hunter, like, I can't pick a weapon in Monster Hunter or a main in Smash Brothers. I just can't. Like, I can't. I swap back and forth all the time.
Yeah,
this
we
was
like
so
new stuff.
hard.
We like new stuff, which is half the reason why this channel is awesome to us, because not only do we want to buy more stuff, but like we also want to talk about new things with you guys. So like it's a great thing to have for this hobby,
outlet, right?
But for this specific video, it's tough.
It's awful. But it's been a fun mental exercise.
It's made me really think about what I value most.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Which is why you picked Death May Die over Zombicide. That's awesome. Glad to hear it. Love it.
Which leads me to my next pick. Which I'm gonna go with a little bit of a lighter game. Not that Cthulhu Death May Die isn't approachable, but this game is a game that has been proven to me is a game that will last in my collection. The app helps it quite a bit, but it is Sagrada.
Yeah.
Sagrada specifically, if I get an expansion, the 5 to 6 player expansion.
Yeah, because what a poorly named expansion.
Oh man, it comes with so much more.
It doesn't just add a 5th or 6th player
Oh man,
spot.
it comes with extra little like
you're missing out, Sagrada.
Slide in slot things for the player boards. It comes with individual drafting boards. Like you don't have to draft all together. You actually have your own personal one,
pool,
which is crazy.
Yeah, that's shocking to me. The marketing on that, like,
it does allow you to play 5 to 6.
Yeah,
but there's a lot of.
I never even looked into it because I was like, I'm never gonna play this game.
It's great, and I actually made it to where it fits all on one box, which is really nice.
Oh, nice. This is overtaken Azul for you.
Yeah, I have. Take a guess at how many times I've played this game, and only with other players. Because if I counted all the times I played it solo, this game would be ridiculous.
45.
73.
Oh man, yeah.
And I am playing it daily now. I love this game.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. I mean, I really like Sagrada. Like, it's not a shot.
It is variable. So like, I actually love like the fact that every single time I can have a different little thing that slides in.
We've talked about that. All it's one of the main draws for me.
All of the things that you're going for changes every single game, and then not only that, the dice pool will change every single time.
You're obviously gonna roll different dice numbers.
Yeah. So it is. You can go back to it time and time again and have a completely different puzzle, but it's still just as fun as the last time you played.
That's a great pick. Number 2, no particular order, is going to be Root.
Okay.
Is this on your list as well, Doolin?
It is on my list. And
we'll
we'll
talk about it together.
Number 3. What expansion would you choose?
I haven't made up my mind.
Really?
Deciding it right now.
You want me to talk about mine?
Talk about yours.
Okay.
God, I don't know.
Between the expansions, you have the Vagabond expansion, you have the Underworld expansion, and you have the Riverfolk expansion. One of my favorites is on the Riverfolk, but I've actually used it a lot because of the app. The reason I chose the Underworld one is because I haven't got to play those as much. And so I think throwing those in the mix allows me to have basically 6 board games in one, and it's just a lot of fun.
I'm in agreement with you. Despite me loving the Otters, I'd choose Underworld strictly for the fact that the Duchy is another high reach faction, meaning that they can swap in and out with cats and birds. If you choose Riverfolk, you're stuck with cats and birds in every single game. So the Duchy allows you to have 3 options for those high reach kind of classes and factions. Also, I don't know enough about it, but like, I'd even consider the Marauder expansion. It's not out yet.
Oh, that's true.
But I mean, that makes the game far better at 2. I mean, that's up there too in consideration for something that I think would improve the game and increase the longevity of it. And I know it doesn't just make it better at 2, like that you can incorporate those into 4-player games as well.
Yeah.
I forget what they're called, the Hirelings and stuff like that. And 2 new factions. So that's up there too, for something that I'd consider.
It's incredible. I mean, I think at this point I've played 70 plus games of it.
Yeah, I'm.
Sagrada actually just overtook it, which is crazy.
Yeah, I think I'm over 70 games on the app alone.
Now, granted, Root is a lot harder to get a full gameplay. So
much.
That is way bigger than playing a game of Sagrada.
Yeah, Root is
incredible.
amazing. Root's
and I'm not tired of it.
No.
Even though I've slowed down on how many times I've played it with you guys.
I actually haven't played much at all in the past like week, but like I'm wanting to get back. I'm ready.
And I think that I would like it even more if I played it more often in
person. For sure. The vast majority of our plays have come from the app, and it's not as good. It's still great. The app is a wonderful adaptation, and I'm so excited for the additional Vagabonds and the Underworld expansion to come to the app. But like, yeah, I'd much rather play it in person given the opportunity.
All right, so that was my number 3 as well.
And my 2. So I'll jump in with another one, and we're gonna go back down.
Wait, did you actually decide on an expansion?
Underworld, yeah.
Underworld.
Or Marauders, I guess. I'm not. Underworld's out. Marauders isn't. So.
Yeah.
But you know what?
We'll say Underworld.
No, I'm choosing Marauders.
Really?
Yep.
Oh wow, with not even playing it.
Never even played it, but it's 2 new factions, which is what Underworld provides, and the Hirelings, which is what's gonna make the 2-player games better and whatnot. So, and I've heard a lot of people really like the factions in Marauders. I have not played them because people have played the print and plays and stuff that are already out. I have not played them. I don't have any experience with them, but a lot of people really seem to like them. So, you know what? I'm gonna be different. I'm gonna go Marauders.
Okay, cool.
I'm gonna go Marauders. Next on my list, we're gonna go back down to an easy one. This was one I had a lot of trouble tossing into this list because it's so simple. And we kind of talked about this before we started recording. I mentioned like, I would have chosen Codenames, or I would have chosen Just One, but I can literally make that with a piece of paper and some pencil. But then Doolin did point out that we're saying that these are the 6 games that we can play.
Not that we can buy.
Not that we can buy and own. Only that we can play. So I can't have a pen and paper piece of a game off to the side because I'm not allowed to play it.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I have decided to include my favorite party game of all time, Monikers, on the list.
I was wondering if this was gonna be on the list.
It has to be. It almost wasn't. And I even tossed around the idea of telestrations instead. They're different for sure. But like, Monikers is just so good and so much fun. I love every time I've ever played the game. They're inside jokes that have lasted months and years between plays that you can pull out immediately again, and it's so many memories. Such a good game. And despite it being simple cards, I could make it myself if I wanted to. Abiding by the rules of the game, I would have to pick Monikers to be on my list.
Okay.
It's too good. Monikers is amazing.
I'll go ahead and get my party
This
game
is
out of the
also
way then,
Times
too.
Up if you're in a different, like if in Europe
yeah.
and Canada, I think it's Times Up. Monikers is the title of the game.
If you don't have a board game, I played this too, and it was called Fishbowl. Like, we played it literally with strips of paper. And
Yeah, exactly. You could.
Yeah.
Right. But again, following the rules.
Yeah, no, I love that game.
Because I'm totally going to follow the rules for every pick on this list.
Does Monikers have a expansion?
Oh, it does actually. Sure, we'll just pick the Shut Up and Sit Down expansion.
Okay, cool.
I've never actually played it, but I know it's a thing, so we'll pick it.
My
Crokinole doesn't have an expansion. I mean, I guess I could pick extra discs. Or the powder. I'll choose the powder as my expansion for Crokinole. Yeah, dude. You gotta have it.
You have like variable pegs.
Yeah. I mean, some of the pegs are just brass. Some of them have a rubber ring around it that affects the bounce back. You look, maybe y'all are missing out on them Crokinole microtransactions, man. Get with the game. You gotta get with the game.
I'm gonna go ahead and go with my party one too. It's the lightest of the bunch. It also doesn't have an expansion. And this is gonna surprise you too.
Oh.
It's a game that I recently played and actually took to a party, and
Oh, I know what it is.
I loved it.
I think I know what it is.
It was a hit to me in a way that like
Can I guess?
surprised me. Go ahead.
Is it Fake Artist Goes to New York?
No.
No.
It is Just One.
Oh, I love Just One.
Just One.
It's so
is
good.
So
Agreed.
good.
It was number 2. Like I said, it was Monikers, Telestrations, and Just One were right there, neck and neck, trying to be decided upon.
This game, I played, and I was teaching it to everybody because I had learned the rules before. I said, you know, this sounds like a fun game that I'll play a few times, then probably pass on. Like, I'll probably move on.
It's so good.
I sat down as the first person who would try to guess what everybody else was getting me on. No one had any duplicates. Best scenario.
Yeah.
And the word was fair. And people had like light, just, and carnival.
Oh, just.
And
That makes sense.
and equal, and like all these words. And I was just like, and like, this is a person, I love Codenames.
Yeah.
And Emily and I, we brag about how good we are at Codenames Duet. Like we nail that game. And so much so that it's almost too easy sometimes.
Right.
Just One stumped me.
Really?
And it was like, I was like, this is giving me the feeling of when I first played Codenames, and it's even harder. It's even harder.
I love it. It might be one of my favorite. I mean, it is. It's not might be. It is one of my favorite party game designs to come out in the
good.
past few years.
It's
It is
so
just
good.
so good.
Man. And like,
It's especially
You know I love
fun
cooperative
when you're
games.
playing with Jeff, and every time Jeff is the guesser, there's duplicates, and he gets at least 2 less clues. We were just playing 4-player, so it was like Jamie, Danielle, and I, guaranteed duplicate. He had 1 clue to guess what his card was. There was also a time we all 3 wrote down the same thing, and he had no clues to guess what his card was.
And man, the fact that not only do the same words but synonyms,
Yeah.
like everything gets eliminated. That's that way makes you as the clue giver have to really think like, oh man, I know Emily, and I know that she's probably gonna immediately write this thing down. But what if she's thinking the same thing as I am?
she doesn't,
So
right.
she doesn't write the obvious clue, and so now we have a bunch of obscure clues out here that don't help the person, and it's just, it's so good. And I'm so glad I played it. I'm so glad I got it. I'm so glad I played it.
It's amazing.
Fantastic.
Agreed.
And it doesn't even have an expansion. That's how likely I think this game will be played the rest of my life.
The bad part about me going out of order is I don't remember what I've already talked about.
That was my number 4.
This is my number 4. I'm getting to the heavier side.
Yeah.
I don't really have these. All 3 are going to be kind of heavy.
I wonder if we're going to have any more.
I'll start with the next one, which is going to be Kingdom Death Monster.
Yeah, I didn't write that one down.
No, I didn't expect you to. You've never played it. This
I did.
game is
One
that's
round.
true, kind of. This game is massive, and it is a game that technically never really ends.
A lot of bang for your buck.
It's a lot of money too,
But
on
money
the list,
was not
it's a
a
lot
thing.
of that's
money
true.
Doesn't matter.
True. This game is a game that I could see myself playing for years. I mean, there's no end. And there are expansions. And I mean, if I'm being real, I'm going to pick the Gambler's Chest as my expansion, which hasn't come out yet. But it's like $500 worth of stuff. So like, it's going to be a massive expansion. I mean, you're talking about never needing to buy any other expansions. It's just it's a settlement building game.
That sounds like the WoW of board games.
Yeah, it's nutty. It's got story building, it's got dice rolling and drama with some randomness involved. It's got settlement building, it's got crafting. Like
Dude, you're selling me on it every time you talk about it.
It's so fun. It is a bear. And I've mentioned before, like, if I had a board game table with a topper, right? I would literally have Kingdom Death Monster living under my board game table. I would. There's nothing else I can think of that I would rather have seated under my table, just ready to go whenever I want. Because it's a bear, and like there are apps to help with the journaling. Because like you have to write down a lot. There's a lot of writing. There's a lot of upkeep. There's a lot of tracking. But it's so worth it. And I love Kingdom Death Monster, and I haven't played it in a year and a half at this point. Like I really need to sit down and play it again, especially since I've got you a little more interested now.
Oh, dude.
Like we've got to try it, man. We've got to try it. Maybe it's not all I remember, but it probably will be.
Yeah. No, and it's a lot of, like, again, if I can come back to this game time and time again, it's going to make
over and over again.
That was a huge part of this because, man, only 6 games the rest of our lives. My number 5, only got 2 left, is Spirit Island with the Jagged Earth expansion.
I didn't, but I came so close.
Yeah. Another reason.
I came so close to being on my list.
Man, I'm trying to think through my list. Other than Sagrada and Just One, I have Cthulhu Death May Die, Root, and now Spirit Island. All have characters that you can, when you're done with them,
you can play someone else.
Play somebody else.
Yep.
And that means this game is going to last me a lot longer than any other game. I just think there's a lot of replayability to this game that I've not gotten to experience yet that I want to. If you've noticed, most of the games that are on my list I don't own, which is a little strange, but I have access to because you own them.
Right, correct.
Which is nice.
And Spirit Island is another one we have to play. We've not played that in a year and a half either.
Oh man, it was like the first game we ever played together.
Yeah, and it's so dang good.
Man, I loved it.
That was what got cut for Kingdom Death. It was between those two. And I also have another co-op game that we'll talk about that I didn't feel like I needed all 3 of them as like heavier co-op games. And Spirit Island was up there. I think the other ones are just a little bit more massive. I mean, I get what you're saying, like tons of spirits that you can swap in and out. You've got the adversaries and the challenges and things like that. Like there's a lot of content to that game, and probably I didn't even consider Jagged Earth. That was something I hadn't even thought about.
Well, Jagged Earth, or what is it, Branch and Claw? Which would you...
Branch and Claw is just like 2 characters. Jagged Earth is basically a second version.
Yeah.
Like it's a whole nother game essentially, but it's still classified as an expansion, I guess. So, yeah, I mean that would be the one to go with for sure. It's such a good game. It was on my list until tonight. Like it was there for the first 24 hours that I was deliberating this. And maybe I made the right call, I don't know, but such a good game. I'm glad you made that pick. Next on the list, I'm gonna go with the lighter of the 2, but it's not particularly light, and this was another one that swapped in and out last moment. I mean, I picked this last moment because I was struggling to think of a middleweight game that I could put on the list. And I'll mention a few that I tossed in my head. I tossed Viticulture around. I tossed Quacks of Quedlinburg around. I even tossed Architects of the Wax Kingdom around, but I think Viticulture would take the lead over that. But there were multiple games that I was like, man, Castles of Burgundy. What am I going to pick? And I ended up going with one that is not nearly as Euro as those, but I think it does a good amount of being thematic and strategical and pretty accessible.
Obsession?
Blood Rage.
Blood Rage. Oh, that's a good pick.
Yeah. I went with Blood Rage.
Do you know what expansion you choose? You don't?
No.
You've not played many.
I've not played any of the expansions. You've got the Mythics, you've got the Gods, You've got the 5 to 6 player expansion.
Which one did I get you?
Mythics.
The Mystics of Midgard.
Mystics of Midgard. I don't know what expansion to go with. I will say the Mystics because I genuinely don't know, and I own that one. But
is there not a Blood Rage like legacy yet?
That'd be
Like,
awesome.
How is that
There
not a
is
thing?
Eric Lang has confirmed that he's working on more Blood Rage stuff.
Ooh.
So whether that means another like a Blood Rage 2, or whether that means expansions, no one knows. Or Blood Rage Legacy. But this is a game that I think can appeal to a lot of different people. It's heavy enough and
What if that's the Marvel announcement?
Marvel Blood Rage. I mean, maybe. Doubt it. But maybe.
Anyway.
But yeah, it's a game that can appeal to people that are heavy gamers, people that are middleweight and light gamers. Like it's fairly accessible. It's his most accessible design as far as the Mythic trilogy. And I love the drafting. I don't have a drafting game on here yet. Like I was just trying to think of a game that I could see myself playing over and over again. This is probably the one that I could see becoming more stale than the others. I think it would have its legs, and I think when it got stale, we'd move on to something else. We'd come back to it later. So I'm not worried about it. But compared with the other things, I think this one maybe has less legs. But
yeah.
I was still super excited to have this on my list. It's just such a good game. A game that I want to play time and time again. It works well at 2. Not amazing, but it works. Great at 3, great at 4, great at 5 if you have a 5 player expansion, but I don't. But regardless, that's Blood Rage.
Are you ready for my last one?
Yeah.
This is a game that I have not played.
Oh my god.
And it seems unfair to add, but I feel like everybody will agree with me.
Talk about it before you say the name.
Okay, it's gonna immediately give it away.
Oh.
There's gonna be so much, hundreds of hours, expansion included. We'll continue to add to it. And there's some rule clarifications here, where either I need to make sure that when I use this, I don't do what it sometimes tells you to do, which is rip up cards and like do all that stuff. But we never said I couldn't just buy the extra pieces, because I mean, I feel like that's fair.
I mean, you could just also not rip up cards.
That's true. This game is Gloomhaven.
Base Gloomhaven.
Base Gloomhaven with the Forgotten Circles expansion.
Okay, I'm gonna interrupt you real quick.
Okay.
And there's a reason for me interrupting you. My 6th and final game that I had to put on my list is Too Many Bones.
Oh, wow, okay.
But I don't think I can just take Too Many Bones with one expansion. I wanted to mention it, and then I put right next to it, but following the rules, Base Gloomhaven.
Oh, wow, okay, cool.
Even though I've played it 75% of the way through.
Here's my thought. I can switch characters once I'm done and go right back through it.
Yep.
And I can do that how many times?
At 17,
Because,
at least.
okay, so here's the thing. I've only played Jaws of the Lion somewhat. We haven't even really gotten past
We literally played the first 5 tutorial scenarios.
Yes, and I think we played the first level as well. I think we did. I
don't
we
even
did.
know.
Because we started to level up our characters even more. Either way,
I think we got to level 2.
I realized
Maybe 3.
that this game is long.
Yes.
And I'm gonna have fun playing my character, but I want to experience the other 3 characters.
Yes.
And then I thought, well, Gloomhaven's even longer.
Yes.
And it has even more characters.
Yes.
And so I was like, if I want that, because I was thinking like I should throw Jaws of the Lion in there. I was like, I shouldn't do that though.
No.
If this is the only game I'm gonna play,
17 characters, man.
I want 17 characters.
Heck yeah.
Longer game. I'm picking Gloomhaven.
I almost put Frosthaven on my list to cheat too, because that would be my pick over Gloomhaven because I already played 75% of Gloomhaven.
But there's no guarantee that Frosthaven is great.
I think it's pretty much guaranteed.
Yeah, but Gloomhaven,
It's already out.
I've not played.
Yep.
And I just think it's a perfect pick for this specific scenario.
I think it is. I mean, I've played 75% of Gloomhaven, and I still picked it. I've played 75% of the game, scenario-wise. I've only played 5 characters.
Oh wow, so you switched a lot.
Well, I switched 5 times, and then, my partner that I was playing with played 5 different characters too, but, like, I didn't get to play the ones he played. We still haven't unlocked every character in the game. Like, there's so much content there. And even with that, each time you level up, you pick one of 2 cards. You could play the same character picking the entire opposite cards, and you get a whole different experience of how these work and how they synergize together.
Yeah.
Like, Gloomhaven has such an immense amount of content and is just a damn good game. Like, there's a difference if a game has a ton of content but isn't that good. Gloomhaven is great. And I think some people may say that Jaws of the Lion is better, and maybe it is just from they've improved standpoint. But from a content standpoint, I can't say that Jaws of the Lion would be better
again,
for the only game I could ever play.
This scenario, content is so important.
Yes, I agree.
And replayability, like I can't think of a more replayable game.
Yeah, to backtrack a bit, if I selected too many bones, I'd probably select the Undertow expansion, but I would feel remiss having missed out on all those different gear locks, which is why I literally put parentheses Gloomhaven. Like I wanted to talk about Too Many Bones, and that I would have picked it if we weren't limiting ourselves to one expansion. But because we are, Gloomhaven is the perfect game. It's up there with the likes of Kingdom Death as far as something that you can play forever.
Yeah.
And it's even more variability than Kingdom Death. I mean, it's just, it's such a good game. That one was almost an easy pick.
I'm glad I picked it.
Yeah. This was hard.
So let's go over our picks real fast. We had 2 crossovers.
Which was Root and Gloomhaven. Which does not surprise me.
And I picked the Underworld expansion.
And I picked Marauders, which isn't out yet, so it's kind of cheating.
From what I saw, Forgotten Circle seems to be the only Gloomhaven expansion worth getting.
It's the only Gloomhaven expansion.
There's like promo cards, but like whatever.
Like, Forgotten Circles is probably not that great, and I say that as someone who has not played it. But from what I've heard, it forces you to use that character, and like she's very important to solving the puzzles in the expansion. So it's kind of like railroading and it's not as good. But I mean, it's still extra content. It's still another character.
That is not necessarily true. So maybe you can talk me into this other one. There is another expansion, technically, and it's a journal for solo play. And it comes with a bunch of scenarios for each individual character.
That's true.
For you to play as, and they're all centered around their abilities.
I feel like I would not classify that as an expansion. I think you can have that for free.
Oh, really?
I mean, that's just a thing that's released for print and play.
Okay, well, there you go.
It's not an actual expansion.
Dude, that puts me in number 1. I can play it by myself, too.
It's great too. The solo stuff's great. I actually had it all printed out and gave it to my brother since I wasn't playing Gloomhaven. But yeah, the solo stuff's awesome. You unlock a special item for that character specifically that just synergizes even more with that specific character.
That sounds so fun.
Dude, come on, man. Come on, dude. We have to play Kingdom Death and Gloomhaven. Like, we have to do that. We gotta.
Live streaming.
I mean,
that'd be the easiest way to do it.
I'm into it. We gotta figure out how to do it. We don't have the equipment yet. We'll figure this out. We'll see you in a live stream. Let us know down in the comments, even if you don't feel like putting down all 6. If you do, I'd love to see it. But if you don't feel like putting down all 6, let us know a couple of your games. If you had to pick a handful, what would a couple of them be that you could only play for the rest of your life? I just want to know the games that mean the most to you and that you think have the most longevity. And thanks for watching.
This was fun.
I agree.
Great
I enjoy
concepts
these
for
like debate concepts. It's always fun to think hypotheticals.
Even though we agreed on a lot of them.
We did. Wow. And like I said, my list went through many iterations.
Lastly, what was your 4 that weren't the same?
Crokinole, Blood Rage, Kingdom Death Monster, and Monikers.
Yeah, and then mine was Death May Die, Sagrada, Spirit Island, and Just One.
And we almost had 4 out of 6 crossovers. I came incredibly close. We could have had 5. I almost swapped in Just One for Monikers. Imagine if our only difference was Crokinole and Sagrada. Like, everything else was just the same. We came so close to that.
That would have been funny.
That would have been hilarious. We'd be like, it's this. Dude, crossover. It's the what? Crossover. Yeah, we've gotten old after a while. Just like this video has. See you later.